Welcome to episode 147 of the Twim Show. This is your host Sajid Islam, and today I'll be going over the notable news and updates in the digital marketing space from the week of February 6th through 10, 2023. First off, a little update on YouTube. YouTube has this new thing called Masthead ads. So Masthead ads is basically are those ads you see when you go to youtube.com, right, on your desktop, and those big ads you see. Now the good thing about this masthead ads is that you can put it around a specific event, like before the event, during the event, or after the event. And one of those, let me read what they YouTube has shared with us over the master ads, and I'll read verbatim as an example. Like during the recent World Cup, McDonald's Brazil turned to the YouTube cost per hour masthead. Their strategy was savvy. Reach anyone in Brazil who was watching YouTube an hour before the Brazil versus Cameroon match and remind them to pick up McDonald's before the game started. This perfectly timed execution delivered tens of millions of impressions at the very moment fans were preparing for the match. That's just the sales pitch from YouTube itself. If you were to ask me, or if I have to think about it, I would say, showing an ad right before the game and reminding people to go pick up McDonald's. Not sure if it works, but if they have delivery, yeah, it will work. Again, you're sending a subconsciously a cue to the brain that hey, you're gonna get hungry, and if you get hungry, go watch it and do things like this. So it's like YouTube is replacing what you would see usually on TV, because again, more and more people are on the TV, moving in from the TV into the YouTube ads. Or YouTube world. Okay. At this time, they're not sharing any information as to what the costs are, how much inventory is available, or if it's available only to national brands or small brands, but or local businesses. It's still unclear. I'm sure these things are gonna unfold in the coming days and years. Or maybe YouTube kind of want to get it out there in preparation for Super Bowl. Who knows? Okay. With that, let's dive into the next update of this week, which is Pinterest. Pinterest has posted its quarter Q4 2022 earnings report, and with that comes the full year of 2022 earnings report. So now a few things that you should know about. Number one, Pinterest has a total of, which I messed up and I don't have the total number, but they now have 95 million users in the US, which is the same as Q3, 124 million users in Europe, which is 4 million more than they had in Q3. So now Q3 it was 120 million, now is 124 million, and rest of the world bucket, they have 231 million. In Q3 they had 230 million. Okay, so that's what I think it roughly comes to 230 plus 100, 330, some about 500-600 million users maybe. Okay, that's not the big deal. The big deal is revenue front. And I know this is not a finance podcast or show. However, I like to really look at the numbers and look at the users and kind of figure out what the greener pastures are. So revenue front, Pinterest made a total of $877 million in revenue in Q4 2022. Now, if you look at it, they earned $722 million in US and Canada. That's 147 more than they did in Q3. $123 million in Europe, which is a $37 million more revenue in Q3, and 32 million in the rest of the world, which is 8 million more than Q3. So in Q3, they had 24 million for rest of the world category. Now they have 32 million for Q4. Okay, so that's how it is. Now, if I were to, also Pinterest goes down and breaks down the average revenue per users for the region of US. It's like US and Canada is $7.60. Average revenue per user in Europe is $1.01, and average revenue per user is 0.14 cents in the rest of the world category. If you take these three pieces of information or three pieces of data, like, what does it tell you? To me, it tells me that Pinterest has 95 million users in the US, and they're bringing in about $722 million in revenue, which basically means the advertisers in the US are spending a lot of money in Pinterest, whereas if you look at it, the big bucket is 231 million users in the rest of the world, which is like 2.3 times, almost 2.4 times what it is in the US, user count wise. But revenue wise, let me take out my calculator, and I think this would be fantastic, which is if I divide 722 by 32, revenue wise, it's basically US makes about 22.5, almost 23% more. 23 not percent 23 times more, right? Or on the other flip side, you can say, which is they don't really make much money from the rest of the world, right? Well, I'm not giving you in ideas for investments, but I'm saying is what I feel like is that there are opportunities if you are listening to this show and you are in the rest of the world category market space or Europe. Maybe you should try Pinterest ad if you haven't tried it and see what you get. Now you could say, hey, maybe the conversions are not good and things like that. But of course, yeah, you have to be in e-commerce, but it's just top of the mind strategy, right? Top of the funnel strategy. See if you can bring in and really, because Pinterest looks like a greener pasture for those two areas, geography, location, than it does in the US. I mean, again, it could be comparatively cheaper than Facebook, which could be more cheaper than, what is it called, Twitter or even Google. But just looking at this, seems like really rest of the world category, Pinterest is really should be really cheap inventory wise, because there's users, but it seems like they're not making money, which means advertisers are not spending money. If they're not spending money, that means you can go in and really place ads for very cheap. Remember, in the early days, even Gary Vee says that all the time, that in the early days he was putting ads up on Google search ads for pennies, right? And that's how he built, and he invested all the money, put all the monies, he got this big following and big wine list, big user list, email list built. He was able to build it because Google was so cheap. So folks, you need to find these greener pastures, these areas where you can focus on, and you go put money in there, okay? Let's move on to the next update. The next updates are on the Microsoft front, Microsoft Ads. A few things you need to know if you are in the Microsoft Ads. Seems like Microsoft Ads is getting better and better every day. Well, they have to if they want to be in the business, and Microsoft does want to grow their business exponentially this year. So I think the last time when I covered the Microsoft Ads and the quarterly earnings, they said they want to double their business. Anyway, they now have last touch attribution. For all audience markets. This feature allows you to change your conversion goal attribution. So basically you can now say, I want to count based on people who saw my ad the last time. Okay. Enhanced cost per click is also available. Again, this is part of the automated bidding strategy. For all automated bidding strategies, Microsoft has data exclusion, which allows their algorithm to kind of stop showing your ads if they detect some anomaly where maybe your conversion tracking is not working, or you have an outage on your website. Why show your ad if the users are going to go in and get an error message, things like that. Okay. Lastly, their Google import in Microsoft advertising are now able to import smart campaigns from Google Ads. So this is a good thing if you want to take your smart campaigns as is and put it into Microsoft Ads and see how it does. Absolutely go ahead and give it a try. I always encourage everyone to spend 20% of your budget, ad budget, into Microsoft and see what results you get. With that, then moving on to Google. Google says Google is recommending JSON-LD format for structured data. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Again, this is a technical term, but Google says there are three types of formats you can use for structured data: JSON, microdata, and RDFA. What Google is saying, look, I know that we will support all three. However, we prefer and we recommend our users to use JSON, JavaScript Object Notation. It's because it's the easiest for you to implement and maintain. But if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But JSON is again easy. Again, all the structured data that I've seen, especially from the in the world of WordPress and everything is always in Java JSON format. So that's good. But just keep in mind, if you are working with a tech or a techie person or a SEO person, and if they're saying, hey, we're going to do structured data, implement structured data, and you know how important it is. We've been covering this in our show. Now you know what to do. You can ask them, hey, tell me the different types of structured data formats you have and which one are you going to use. I mean, whether you are hiring an agency or an SEO expert, you want to ask these questions because this will tell you what this person knows, right? Okay. With that, this is the last update of this week, which is Google has changed their stance and now they're saying they're okay with AI generated content. Last year, remember, John Mueller said during the April 2022 SEO office hour, John Mueller says, hey, we are against content generated by AI, right? And now fast forward 10 months and they're saying, oh no, it's fine. However, with a caveat, what they're saying is, look, don't use AI generated content and don't put spammy content out there. Put content that follows the EEAT framework, which is exactly the same thing I've been telling you again and again. At the end of the day, folks, you can put content just for the sake of putting content. But if you are not putting content that's going to educate, that's going to inform, educate, help someone or answer someone's question, it's just a waste of time. Now, whether you're doing it yourself or whether you're doing it through ChatGPT, doesn't matter. It's just useless noise. And remember, putting up content does not necessarily guarantee that Google is going to crawl. And crawling does not necessarily think it's going to index and rank it. So you want to put good quality content. There is, with ChatGPT being out and a Bard, Google Showcase Bard, which is obviously half-baked, but it's going to come around. You don't really want to, just be this factory of producing low quality content, because this is exactly what Google says Google wrote in their Search Central blog post. When it comes to automatically generated content, our guidance has been consistent for years. Using automation, including AI, to generate content with the primary purpose of manipulating ranking in search results is a violation of our spam policies. That said, it is important to recognize that not all use of automation, including AI generation, is spam. Automation has long been used to generate helpful content such as sports scores, weather forecasts, and transcripts. AI has the ability to power new levels of expression and creativity and to serve as a critical tool to help people create great content for the web. And they go on to say, right, appropriate use of AI or automation is not against our guidelines. This means that it is not used to generate content primarily to manipulate search ranking, which is against our spam policies. So, if you were to throw a command to ChatGPT, say, hey, ChatGPT, write a 1,000-word blog post on SEO and make sure it has a keyword density of 50 or 60, and you mention SEO at least 3 times in each paragraph, maybe I would think that is wrong. But if you were to issue a command to ChatGPT saying, write a blog post on 1,000-word blog post on what is SEO, why is it important, how can it be used, how can a small business owner start, and things like that, maybe that was a good content. And then, again, the other question comes up is, how will Google know which is really written by ChatGPT? Because you can take a content out of ChatGPT, run it through something like Grammarly, fix the correct grammar, or fix the transitions, fix the sentence structure, things like that, modify it a little bit, put it through Grammarly, correct the grammars, and put it up there. I really do not know. We are in this new territory that we have never been before. I really do not know how this is going to play out, but all I know is, folks, use ChatGPT, because I used it last week and it's amazing. Use it, but use it as a helper tool, not to replace everything. I think that's where we should stop, and we should just say, that's where really you leverage the power of AI. With that, folks, that's it for this week in marketing. This is your Sajid Islam signing off. Until next week, take care. Bye-bye.